fasse grand. Avec un souci pour Francesco Simonazzi, dont on retire la voiture de cette grille de départ. Pas de chance pour Francesco, qui avait lui aussi amené les courses tout à l'heure. Et panneau 5 minutes qui est présenté aux concurrents, 5 minutes avant le nouveau départ du tour de formation. Et peut-être le départ de la course, d'ailleurs derrière la safety car, on est en train de procéder là-bas au nettoyage de la piste, déposer du produit absorbant suite à la casse de la boîte de vitesse de Francesco Simonazzi, qui ne prendra donc pas le départ de la course. Trois minutes, 3 minutes before the start. 3 minutes avant le départ de cette toute dernière course du meeting, l'Euroformula Open, avec la première place sur la grille de départ pour Gérard Xier, qui va tenter de faire mieux après ses ennuis lors des deux courses précédentes. Deuxième position, Michael Schien sur le numéro 23. Deuxième ligne, Jacob Bergmeister, Levante Revesh. Cinquième position pour Brad Benavides, et puis la dernière place sur la grille de départ pour Fernando.
Well, a warm welcome, everybody, back to Spa. I would say warm, but I tell you what, the temperature might have taken a bit of a turn with rain now falling on the track. But welcome to round 3 here at Spa-Francorchamps, 7.004 kilometres. It's race 3 here in this round 3 weekend. 13 laps or 30 minutes max ahead of us around the undulating, challenging circuit of Spa-Francorchamps. As you can see, the damp patches lit up across the track right now, certainly in the first sector, and we saw a huge debate happening out on the start finish straight on the grid as to decide whether the drivers wanted to run the slick compounded tyre or the wet compounded tyre. Many of them changing them at the very last minute. Let's take you through the starting grid. Gerard Z starting on the front row, pole position with Michael Shin on second place. Jakob Bergmeister, after an impressive display in race 2, will start in third. Laventia Ravesh fourth. Brad Benavides bidding to become a 3-time race winner this weekend at Spa. Francesco Simonazzi starting from P6. Had a bit of an engine leak, what looked to be an oil leak on the grid. That's why there's sand currently littered across the track, and that BVM car has now since been wheeled into the pit lane for inspection. Fernando Barrichello also out in 7th. Paolo Brajnik starting from P8, but we're going to be starting under the safety car here in the Euroformula Open Championship Race 3 as they now make the climb up the hill under these wet conditions. There is Francesco Simonazzi. They're hard at work trying to get the car ready to go racing in this final race here this weekend, as we now await obviously for them to get started. But obviously it's been a very close fought battle. But the man to watch, the man of the hour, Brad Benavides, bidding to become a 3-time race winner, to join the likes of Ollie Goethe and Louis Foster since 2021. And your commentary team here, George Morgan, and alongside me, Ewan Dunlop.
Drama right to the end, George. Now, for the last 10 minutes, we've been watching with some fascination about their decision-making. They were all on slicks as they made their way to the grid prior to the formation lap. And every single one, other than Simonazzi, changed to wet tyres. He is now in the pits. He left the grid. We assumed he was moving over to the side of the grid to start from the pit lane to put the wets on. But as he moved his car away, there was 2 very dark black patches beneath where his car was. And they've spent the last 5 minutes putting the sand down to soak up some of that. We assume oil, could only be from my eyes. And there are still raindrops falling. Wets are now mandatory for this race.
Certainly are, and every car brandishing them now. Simonazzi did look for a brief moment, wasn't actually going to start on wet tyres. It looked like he was going to start on the soft tyres, or certainly on the slick tyres, I should say, here at the start of the race. Opted against it and instead saw his car moved into the garage after the oil leak that you so rightly mentioned, the puddles pooling up on the grid, and therefore sand had to be disposed, or certainly grit, onto the track in order for the cars to safely run over it. But we're under a safety car start here, deployed in this lap. And obviously now we'll be under these conditions for the foreseeable until race control deem it necessary to go racing. Gerard Z, though, looking to come back off the back of a very difficult weekend. Hasn't really had a great run through race 1 or race 2. Has had his challenges, had his issues. A couple of times he's been spent in the pit lane. We've got confirmation as well. Safety car will be in this lap as we'll get this race underway.
Ironically, in qualifying on Saturday morning, he was the fastest car on track, but had it deleted for some track limits, so put him down from 1st to 6th, hence the reverse grid. This is the reverse 6 from qualifying, which puts him back on pole, where he probably feels like he might rightly have been. However, in the first race of the weekend, didn't get away off the start line, stalled it with ink on the start and didn't move at all. And yesterday, earlier on this morning even, it should have been the race yesterday, because of delays it was moved to this morning. Same sort of problems very early on, was a long way back. Now, we did start the weekend with 8 cars. We got no Paolo Brajnik in this one, and at the moment, no Simonazzi, and we've got no sign of him making his way back into that car. So already lost significant ground in the championship. More points going to be lost right here.
Yeah, bear in mind, obviously, it's between he and Brad Benavides up at the top end. So Benavides, if he wins now, a great opportunity here for him, obviously, to take big points. As you can see, the spray kicking up here. We had no way near anywhere this level of water earlier on today. It's really taken a damp turn as now Gerard Z makes his way out to the final corner, and as he makes his way over the line, it'll be pedal to the metal, and it is go, 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 go. Great start from Gerard Z, getting away very quickly ahead of Michael Shin, the Korean now adopting that 2nd place. In behind we then have Jakob Bergmeister, Laventia Ravesh forming up in behind. Brad Benavides, the Floridian, been to become a 3-time race winner in this weekend, to join great names such as Oliver Goethe as well as Louis Foster alike, as they now burst on through, heading up towards Eau Rouge and Radion. Laventia Ravesh all over the back of Jakob Bergmeister as they head up the hill now. This time Bergmeister doing enough to hold on to P3. Fernando Barrichello as well, right at the rear of the field, trying to close up to those runners in front. Bergmeister now heads up towards Kemmel. No one disrupting the lead for Gerard Z right now. This will be the perfect way to end his weekend, should he get victory, at least after suffering all those those issues through race 1 and race 2. Switching to the inside comes Levente Ravesh. Can't unlock the door here this time around on Jakob Bergmeister, but he'll have time. Plenty of laps still to go here, Ewan.
Yeah, Gerard C, we know he's competitive, just not the biggest chance as of yet. Now, look how dry this part of the track is. That was the big question between wets and slicks, but it was mandatory to go onto the wet tyres. But you can see the vast difference. The size of this 7 kilometre track, they are bringing up massive amounts of spray in Sector 1. In Sector 2, it's almost bone dry. This is the 9th race of the season in the Euroformula competition. It's our first wet race. We are going to find out now who are the wet specialists.
And it's looking a little dry.
Off he goes!
Oh,
that's Bergmeister!
Goodness me, and that's Jakob Bergmeister spinning, coming around Pouon. And of course, I'm looking at the commentary box window. I was just about to mention, it's looking drier out there on track, heading towards turn 1. Bergmeister still running though, however, makes his way back out onto the circuit. Brilliant job by him not to get caught up in the gravel. Yellow flags raised at turn 11, but I'm sure as he ventures back out onto the track, they will go back to green. But what a moment here, as now you can see the spray now back in this 3rd sector. Truly astonishing. It
is crazy, isn't it? Yeah, we know Spa-has got a famous sort of microclimate. It was absolutely hammering down on the pit straight about 20 minutes ago. Nothing now. And there's this been just missing his teammates too. Slid right in between them. And it's so gutting because it has been the weekend of his life in Euroformula. 2 second places. The first ever time he's been on the top 2 steps of the podium.
Yeah, fabulous weekend indeed for Jakob Bergmeister. It's a shame it's had to end like this, but Brad Benavides now gains a place. As a consequence, he's up to 4th and still chasing after Levente Ravesh, 1 step away from the podium. Gerard Z, who in his own right has had issues, but he's now in front and has margined a 2-second gap between he and Michael Shin in behind in second. Levente Ravesh, the Hungarian, now rounding turn 1 at La Source. The rain lights flashing on the back of the cars. Fernando Barrichello also up now to 5th place as they now head up through towards Eau Rouge and Radion. 11 laps to go in this race. Gerard Z once again advancing his charge 2 seconds, could become 3 if he carries on like this. Michael Shin in 2nd place, still doing well though, and then a gap then to Levente Ravesh further back as they climb over the hill. Fernando Barrichello giving chase, 7.3 off the top as they now burst through up towards Lecom once again. There you can see Brad Benavides just urging closer in behind P3's Levente Ravesh. Needs to try and find something in the corners, and just as I alluded to, Benavides going purple in the 1st sector.
I mean, Benavides doesn't have to win this race. He'll already gain massive points in the championship. He's won the first 2 races of the weekend. He's aiming to be the first man to win 3 races in a weekend since Oliver Gote 2022 round 4 at Spa. This racetrack, well, can lightning strike twice? It's only been done a couple of times before. Who's that going off? Is another one?
That's Ravesh. Levente Ravesh into the grass, spun right across the track, and as you can see, the differences between the slick tyres and the wet tyres already on show. They enter the dry portion of the track on these wet weather tyres, and Levente Ravesh having trouble finding the grip, the traction in that 1st sector.
And I'll tell you what, Gerard Z is managing this wonderfully from the front. He's not won a race, of course, in Euroformula yet this season, only his 1st weekend, but he's not had the best of it. Well, could the weekend end on the perfect high? Well, maybe not yet, because Brad Benavides, championship leader, going for 3 wins in a row, is going to be all over their tail. You have got to be on your game here, and there is Ravesh going off, just catching the gravel, and he just misses the barrier, but he's going to be absolutely full of turf.
Yeah, absolutely right. Obviously getting onto the grass, and it's very wet on there too, so that's, despite it being wet weather tyres, grass is never usually their friend. As you can see him stepping into it now, incidentally, Sector 2, not Sector 1, but as they now head down out of bus stop very shortly, there's Brad Benavides. He would have experienced conditions like this in the past as well. Obviously, a driver that's competed in F2 and F3, now back in the Euroformula Open Championship, pursuing after Michael Shin in 2nd place, who's also got F3 experience. There at the front, though, Gerard Z, who has been brilliant, and the China F4 champion now out in front. He won the title back in 2022 in China F4, and also he is also a champion in Formula Renault Super Challenge back in 2022 as well. He had a great year during the course of that calendar campaign as they now make their way up through towards Eau Rouge and Radion. Still the spray being kicked up, but it'll be vastly reduced heading into Sector 2.
Just wondering if Barrichello had an off as well. He's lost loads of time on Brad Benavides. He wasn't too far behind now. You can just see it's about 7 seconds difference. So maybe there's something we didn't catch on camera. But the front three, just 4 seconds between them. Gerard Z, fastest man Saturday morning. Not fastest man on track right now. That's Brad Benavides, but that is to be expected from your championship leader.
Yeah, it's now the 23 car of Michael Shin makes its way through Rivage. Brad Benavides is lurching ever closer and is now starting to sleuth his way through. Fastest lap for Brad Benavides as well with a 2:27.887 with a 41.997 as well in the first sector. So not only has he actually gone and taken the fastest lap, but he's just gone purple again in the first. So he is trying to close on Michael Shin and doing a great job of doing so, just under 1.5 seconds away from P2.
He was actually a second quicker than our leader Gerard Z on that last lap, and fastest laps as well. A bit of a slide as they just got to maintain concentration, because you've got a wet track, a dry track, and a kind of an intermediate track in the middle of all sorts of conditions, and you go from spray in your face to absolutely pure clear vision. No lapses whatsoever, otherwise you will see. He's onto the gravel, goes wide. That Gerard Z, our leader, that is the first blink we've seen from Gerard Z, and it almost ended in disaster. Maintains his place on track, but he will lose a few more tenths.
True test of mettle here for these drivers in conditions that, quite frankly, are very difficult to manage. In one level, we have got the wet weather, but when you make your way through the middle sector, that is where things turn dry and then difficult to manage, certainly on this compound of tyre, as they head down in towards the final chicane. We'll take a look at this moment as well, just dipping into the gravel trap with the left front and left rear, and Gerard Z managing to save it. Fantastic recovery on part of him, but just look at Brad Benavides further down as well. Purple in the first and second sectors in the last lap, and has just taken an almighty, well, it's just taken 3 tenths out of Michael Shin as well. But just looking, the comparison of the lead right now is Gerard Z, who did a 2:29.181 in that last sector, and that's over a second slower than Brad Benavides in third place.
Yeah, the championship leader just eating away as each lap passes. Still 9 laps of the 13 to be completed, and you wouldn't bet against Benavides catching Michael Shin over the next couple of laps as they enter the dry section of the track. Of course, wet tyres on right now, so not optimum speed, but Brad Benavides is getting everything out of his car.
Yeah. The rain is actually not falling here down the home straight, so obviously the rain has already decided to move on. I can see the clouds sort of dissipating up at the front. It's kind of moving over to the far side, actually off where the track is, so it might be the case that the wet tyres are null and void throughout the entirety of the circuit the more we make our way through this race. The dry line might become apparent, and you can see them just finding it there as well, heading down through towards Podium here this time. Gerard Z still out in front. There is, of course, Michael Shin. Running very wide on the outset, coming in towards Podium as well, and that's certainly going to be looked upon favourably by Brad Benavides in pursuit of taking his third race victory this season. I mean, what's incredible, what might work out for Brad Benavides is very soon. Do you see the rear flicking out as well on both Gerard Z and Michael Shin coming out to the Lafanier chicane? I do wonder, Brad Benavides is going to be licking his lips here, Ewan.
There's no grip on those curbs, let us assure you of that. Now, Michael Shin in second right now, of course, did pick up his first or second podium of the championship in the second race earlier on this morning. Third place, did take a win in race 3 at Hockenheim, where he defended from the front against the likes of Benavides. So we know he has the skill set to defend. Has he got the skill set to do so in such changeable conditions as we have right now? Gerard Z continues to move ahead, almost 2 seconds to the good now.
Yeah, look at the spray kicking up in Brad Benavides' face as well as he makes his way through bus stop. Has to take as much tarmac as he can, avoiding the curbs at all costs, because if you spin the tyres on the outside of such a slow set of corners as the bus stop chicane, it can leave you not necessarily high and dry, but very wet down the long straight. But Benavides doing a great job once again. Gerard Z, though, taking the fastest lap and holding on to that lead advantage, though there is one driver losing out, and that's going to be Michael Shin, because he's 3.5 tenths slower than Brad Benavides in third right now, as they now fly up through towards Eau Rouge and Radion again. This is a little nice replay shot as we witness Brad Benavides make his way into the final chicane at bus stop. You can just see the flickers of water coming away from the wet tyre rubber as they head through turns 18 and 19. Benavides, though, in hot pursuit, and he's getting closer.
Bone dry up towards Lacombe. And you can see visually now, there's still Gerard Z not giving anything away whatsoever. He's had one tiny slip, and everybody's had a few of those. Got to mention here too, Fernando Barrichello, this would equal his best result of the season. And you might say, oh, it's by default because a few coming off, but that's not the case at all. You keep your 4 tyres on the track there, and you get every point you deserve.
Yeah, absolutely right. Heading down in towards Podium. Still at the front is Gerard Z. Michael Shin holds on to second. Just look at how tight it's getting now up at the... Well, this is towards the rear.
That's the Revesh and Bergmeister.
Yeah, Revesh and Bergmeister still very much involved in their own individual fight. Now, we forgot about these drivers because, of course, they both slipped off earlier on. And I will say this, Bergmeister fastest in the speed trap and is going to give Levente Revesh something to think about as they head through towards Podium and down in towards the Lefanier chicane. There we can see them now burst on through, heading out now in towards the very slow but progressive Lefanier chicane. Different lines taken by both drivers. Levente Revesh starting back to the outside lane in order to take the inside, heading through towards Lefanier. Jakob Bergmeister, the German shifter kart champion, who stepped into single-seaters last campaign, has managed now to come straight back here this season and show that he has learned so much more since his last season in the Euroformula Open Championship, and now back here looking to try and take down Levente Revesh here in the final sector. 8 laps of magic still to go. Gerard Z still leads.
Of course, the difficulty you have now is there's going to be one not quite true dry racing line, but in the damper sections of the track, that is going to be the case. So if you're going for a move anywhere in the wetter sections, you are moving onto a wet line to try and overtake somebody that's on a dry line. It's double difficulty.
Absolutely, coming in towards the final 2 bends. Now, goodness me, Levente Revesh getting in nice and tight as the 26 of Jakob Bergmeister tries to make his way out. I tell you what, they got caught up heading through the final 2 bends and now heading down towards turn 1. Bergmeister might have had an opportunity. Unfortunately, he's just narrowly missed out. Levente Revesh doing enough to hold on to his place in P5. As now they burst out of turn 1 yet again, but they still got the climb up towards Eau Rouge and Radion.
Gerard Z extends his lead to just beyond 2.2 seconds. Benavides still all over the back of Shin, but can't get within or less than half a second or so within that diving kind of distance to make the penultimate or final move on him. So again, he can settle for third. He didn't want to. Racing drivers don't want to settle for any positions at all. But as long as he finishes, and the only danger really for Benavides is he goes for a move, damages his car and doesn't finish, as Bergmeister does make the move up the Kemmel Straight on Levente Revesh. He will move into 5th place of 6.
We can see how those wet tyres are reacting to the dry track as well. It's a little bit of rubber flying off the back of Levente Revesh too. So at this point, Jakob Bergmeister doing a fantastic job here at this stage. A fantastic effort to move along the outside of Levente Revesh, peeling through towards Lacombe, and has now managed to take that P5 away. Revesh now down to 6. 2.1 seconds between G and Michael Shin as well at the very front. There's Benavides in the back of Schott, who is still within a second of Michael Shin, but it's going to be so hard to retain the grip on these tyres, especially considering the mixed conditions we have across this circuit.
Oh, 2 left wheels off track.
Carbon copy.
Blimey, just about holding on again. Second time he's done that in the course of 4 laps, pushing it incredibly hard, but of course wants to take a win. He was only here last season at the Spa event, and this is the first time we've seen him again this season. Clearly loves this track. Here's Barrichello going for a dip into the gravel around one of the chicanes. Will that get back on track? Seems to have the momentum. Yes, he will. Currently running in 4th position, would equal his best, and that is right through the thickest part of the grass. Currently still in 4th, but only 2 seconds ahead now of the chasing Jakob Bergmeister.
Nice way of getting the gravel out of your tyres. Going across for a clean through the grass at Lefanier. You can just look at the tyres there at the moment in the top left as well. Of course, they are going to blister somewhat heading through on the dry track, but here in the opening sector is where they will perform. Brad Benavides still working hard, but he's gone beyond a second now outside of Michael Shin. So Shin doing a great job. Gerard Z, though, forfeiting time after going off into the gravel, heading through out of Corbeil Paul Frere, as they now burst up the hill through towards Kemmel, through the Kemmel Straight now. Gerard Z still out in front. Brad Benavides still trying to find something in order to lurch forward. I can tell you that Michael Shin was fastest in the second sector over the course of the last lap, as Barrichello now also takes Eau Rouge and Radion.
In fact, Michael Shin took the fastest lap on his last lap, 2:27.753, previously held by Brad Benavides. So Shin finding the best of his car in these latter stages. So we move beyond halfway, 6 laps remaining. Barrichello, after his trip over the gravel and through the grass, still holding off Jakob Bergmeister and Levente Ravesh in the second half of this race. Again, looking to get some points on the board, not done so particularly well this weekend. 6th place in races number 1 and 2. Can he end his weekend on a high?
Could mean a lot for him, I'm sure. I mean, obviously, Brad Benavides chasing that 3rd successive race win here at Spa. Gerard Z looking to answer back after the difficult measures he's had to face in race 1 and race 2, but he's doing brilliantly here so far, despite taking ventures into the gravel twice coming out of Corbeil-Paul Frere. He still retains a 1.5 second gap between he and Michael Shin as they head through the second sector. Very soon, it'll be sector 3 on the exit of Campus and Stavolo. And there is Fernando Barrichello. Will take a slow-mo shot as he makes his way through towards the next stride, just whipping the tail out, heading through the bus stop chicane, attacking those curbs regardless of the damp conditions out there on circuit, but doing a great job to get the car around. As we now revisit the front end, there is Gerard Z, 1.6 to the good, ahead of Michael Shin in second. Been a prosperous visit here for Gerard Z. No fear of the curbs here on the inset and outset of the corner at bus stop, and now rushes down towards turn 1. There'll be 5 laps to go as they take the checkered flag line.
Starting to get the feeling that Gerard Z just keeps 4 tyres on the black stuff. He's going to be almost impossible to be caught. He's lapping so well. Yes, the gap has come down. In fact, he's back out now to 2.1. He's doing beautifully well. We know he had the pace from Saturday morning. It was in the car. Just unfortunate. Didn't get away in race number 1. Troubles again in race number 2. So now he's got a good car. We know he's got the pace in him as a driver. It's all come together in race number 3.
And bear in mind as well, in free practice 2, he was fastest of anybody in that session. Was actually the fastest in free practice as a whole, and even in the wet session, despite Brad Benavides being fastest in that one, we did of course witness Gerard Z go 3rd fastest, as now Barrichello is now wheel to wheel with Jakob Bergmeister, and credit to Bergmeister, what a recovery drive here at this point. Now they're going to run wheel to wheel, heading out through towards Eau Rouge and Radion. Barrichello having to back out of that one, but have his chance heading out through towards the Kemmel Straight. Might choose to run in behind that of that of Bergmeister, I should say. Barrichello looking to try and get that slipstream in the distance. You can see Levente Ravesh as they peel up through towards the Lecom section. Bergmeister, though, a fantastic move to get it done. And again, a great recovery drive. And I've been impressed with Bergmeister. This is a different driver to what we saw last season in his rookie season. And he's now back here again. 4th place. Now, despite there being quite a large gap to find, he is still getting some major points here in this race.
Yeah, by far and away having his best weekend of the season. As your leader just slips and slides round the corners out of Buon and back towards the rest of the track, and he's looking so good. Even if he's been off twice, he's touched the gravel twice, it never fazed him for a split second. But yeah, Fernando Barrichello down into 5th right now. I'm wondering if Ravesh had a little bit of time somewhere, because he was within a second of Bergmeister a couple of laps ago. Now 3 seconds off the back. Nothing that we saw, but I just got a feeling that something untoward happened in the last few minutes.
Very likely, as they now head through the final bends now here. 5 laps will become 4 laps left here in the closing stages of this Euroformula visit here in 2024 to Spa-Francorchamps, as Gerard Z comes through the bus stop chicane once again. If he does take this home and hose to the checkered flag, it'll be his first win in the Euroformula Open Championship. Was made his maiden starts here last season, now back again for this campaign. Coming here, as I said, registering that 2:28.164 in free practice 2, not managing to even get onto the track to race in the opening race of the weekend and race 2 as well alike, but coming in where it matters. Race 3, leading the way off pole position, and now rushes up the hill through Eau Rouge and Radion with Michael Shin still in hot pursuit.
This is the biggest lead that Z has had so far, almost out towards 3 seconds. Feels like all the drivers now have got complete control of the conditions, lapping very, very similarly. Gerard Z actually takes the fastest lap of the race on the last lap at 2:27.522. Again, all the more confidence for him. You do get 1 bonus point for fastest lap, 2 bonus points for the most places gained, which as it stands right now would surely be Brad Benavides up to 3rd from 6th.
Yeah, absolutely right. He will benefit off those points, which will go towards his championship charge, and yet more points to jump ahead of Francesco Simonazzi as well. So a huge effort on his part. Great drive as well from Jakob Bergmeister, despite the earlier issues. Where would he have been if he had not spun? Of course, he has got the pace in his car. 28.4 though away from Brad Benavides, but Laventia Ravesh has managed to get to within a second, in fact within 9/10 of Fernando Barrichello in that battle for 5th as well, as we now witness the cars make their way through the next segment, in through the next chicane at La Fanier. As you can see, the rain light still very much flashing on the back as they now once again enter Sector 3 as they exit out of campus, and Stavolo, once again, they'll meet the wet conditions. Just see the difference. No spray at all coming through campus in Stavolo, but as soon as they enter through Corbeil-Porfrère, that is where the spray begins.
If Brad Benavides does finish in 3rd, it will be the first time this season in 9 races he's been on the 3rd step of the podium. He's had 4 wins, 3 second places and a 4th. So regardless, it will be one achievement. He'll have the whole set of medals now.
Yeah, coming now down in towards bus stop. Gerard C nursing now a 2.7 advantage as they now all head out to the bus stop chicane. This is Michael Shin, who we're currently watching. 2.7 now from 2.3, so Z once again advancing his course. The last lap of 2:28.165, which is around 1.5 tenths faster. Just below that, in fact, from Michael Shin in behind Brad Benavides. Now 3.1 away from Gerard Z, but is urging, just trying to urge a little bit closer from Michael Shin, I should say. 3.1, that's the interval. Jakob Bergmeister 29 away from Brad Benavides, as now the timer ticks to the final 3 minutes and 20, and we will finish under timed circumstances here at Spa. Gerard Z out in front. 3 seconds to the good now here as well. Laventia Ravesh fastest in the speed trap, and he's just had that taken away, in fact, by Laventia Ravesh, or should I say Ravesh now moving up above Fernando Barrichello. And look at this, in the first sector, Michael Shin has just gone purple.
Yeah, nobody's slowing down. I was just about to say the only real battle on track right now is the one between Ravesh and Barrichello. Barrichello was looking for his best result of the weekend of 5th place. It looks like it's going to be a 3rd consecutive, a 6th place finish for the young Brazilian. But yeah, Michael Shin, purple in Sector 1, a 41.792, which was 3 tenths quicker than anybody on track in that first sector. I can't see the gaps being bridged, but of course there is still that bonus point available for fastest lap, which is currently with your leader Gerard Z at 2:27.522. And as we talk, the heavens open once again on the pit straight. It is starting to bucket down at the start finish. Well, could this put a spanner in the works of our top 3? Let's wait and see. 2 minutes, so they'll have time to go over the start finish and do 1 more lap, and that will conclude proceedings for our 3rd round of the championship at Spa-Francorchamps. It never fails to disappoint. It has this microclimate, and it's throwing its joker card in the last couple of minutes of racing.
Rather say it never fails to amaze, I think, at this point. Heading down towards the bus stop chicane, the spray now becoming more and more factual here at this stage, as we're now watching Gerard Z still out in front, nursing a gap of 2.5 seconds. Purple sectors 1 and 2 for Michael Shin now, who is really starting to go to work on the Delta. There he is, coming out of bus stop. So surely not in the dying moments is Michael Shin going to try and deliver something to achieve a race victory once again. We'll have to wait and see. Gerard Z, you can bet your bottom dollar is going to try and stop that from happening. But just how good are those tyres now after being blitzed in the dry conditions in the second sector? Of course, they are going to turn, I would imagine, slightly damper in that second sector for the final lap as they now head up the hill towards Eau Rouge and Rayon. Michael Shin still working hard to try and rein in the Delta as they now climb up through the first sector. Gerard Z still very much in charge. Brad Benavides dropping off to 4 seconds in behind Michael Shin, with Jakob Bergmeister still holding on to 4th place. Levente Revesh still being peppered, though, by Fernando Barrichello.
It will take a dramatic slip-up for anyone now to change positions. Looks like Benavides has settled for 3rd place. He'll pick up 15 points in the process, and that will add 15 points to his lead over Simonazzi, who didn't race this last and final round, of course, and that could be critical when we come back to Spa at the end of this championship. It's a massive, massive points gained for the American. But let's jump back to the front. You can see it's still raining here down in the pit lane, but on course where the cars are at the time being, just coming through sector 2, still no rain at all. That's the size of the track we're talking about at Spa. But George, Gerard Z, what a performance, start to finish, just a few more corners to get his first win in Euroformula.
Yeah, fabulous, I have to say. A massive effort on part of Gerard Z, who has had nothing but misfortune through the course of the weekend. Despite being brilliant in free practice, he went 3rd fastest on the certainly on the Thursday, managing to pull together on a very wet track at 2:39.183, and then on the Friday, of course I should say on the Friday for both, Friday for free practice 2, managing to nestle in the fastest lap in that session with a 2:28.164. Of course, we witnessed the session red flagged in free practice one after Fernando Barrichello spun at Radion with no major damage happening to his car, obviously enabling him to race here this weekend. But rounding Blanchimont for the final time, Gerard Z, it has to be said, the China F4 champion who only marked 2 appearances last season here in the Euroformula Open. He's back again for this visit to Spa-Francorchamps. Here this time around, though, after trialling 2 races, he arrives at the 3rd, a victor for the first time in the Euroformula Open Championship. It's Gerard Z who wins here at Belgium, here in the 3rd race of the day, or certainly the 3rd race of the weekend. Michael Shin across the line in 2nd. Brad Benavides, no triple dream this time around, but it's 3 podiums in 3 races, with Jakob Bergmeister now making his way up towards the line as well. First and foremost, needs to fight his way through the final few corners. Fernando Barrichello also in hot pursuit of Levente Revesh as they round Blanchimont here this time around. The Brazilian, I'm sure, is going to have to wait in behind. Look at that spray being kicked up off the back of Levente Revesh as the rain continues to tumble down. Barrichello meeting him at the very end. Look at this, Barrichello at the last gasp, trying his luck down the inside out of turn 19. He looks so good in wet conditions, just could not quite beat Levente Revesh. Bergmeister 4th, Revesh in 5th, Barrichello in 6th, and of course Simonazzi and Paolo Brajnik not starting. It's success, though, for Gerard Z.
Absolutely, from start to finish. Started the weekend, Saturday morning in qualifying, fastest man on track, got a penalty to drop him back down to 6th. That meant he was on pole for race number 3 from the off. Never in doubt, and a couple of tiny slips onto the gravel, but focused and composed, and gets his first win, deservedly, in the Euroformula Open.
Fabulous result, W indeed for Gerard Z, the China F4 champion, who also has competed at the highest level in Formula Renault Super Challenge and became its champion in 2022 as well. Great to have him here, and look at him, looking a bit damp, it has to be said, after the rain-soaked conditions we've had here at Spa. Michael Shin finishing in 2nd, with Brad Benavides in 3rd as well. Still, though, very much in charge of the championship as we see Benavides make his way towards the garage and shakes hands with the rest of his team. If anything, I would say this has done wonders for Brad Benavides' championship, certainly considering Simonazzi didn't even start.
Oh, massively. And you can never, of course, say, well, that's championship in the bag, but it's a massive, massive lead. Here's the race results.
Yeah, Gerard Z confirmed your race winner at the end of that one at Spa. Michael Shin in 2nd, Brad Benavides coming home to round out the podium in 3rd, Jakob Bergmeister in 4th, Levente Revesh 5th, Fernando Barrichello in 6th, Francesco Simonazzi out of the race at the very beginning, Paolo Brajnik also not starting either. And in terms of the Drivers' Championship, Benavides now with a 60-point gap to Francesco Simonazzi, who unfortunately could not get going in race 3. Jakob Bergmeister in 3rd, Levente Revesh up to 4th as well, 83 points away. Bergmeister doing stellar to get back into 4th place to achieve that P3 now in the championship. Michael Shin 5th, Fernando Barrichello in 6th, Lorenzo Flucher 7th. Gerard Z with big points, putting him in 8th place ahead of Paolo Brajnik. And the conditions still very much wet at this point at the tail end of the day and the tail end of the weekend here at Spa. Brad Benavides being ushered across for the podium, which we'll see very soon. He, of course, would finish third as Brad Benavides as part of Team Motor Park. Gave it everything, just could not quite close the gap at the very end as the rain came tumbling down. Michael Shin finishing in second. Phenomenal job from the Korean. Tried to close down on Gerard Z, who had a few moments in the gravel trap, but he became our winner nonetheless for the first time in the Euroformula Open Championship in great style, and he'll be standing by, I'm sure, perhaps with Alfredo Filipponi as well.
Gerard Z, it ended better than it started with a victory in race 3, in a very wet race 3.
I mean, at the start, sort of managing because the start of the second sector is quite dry, to be fair. And the last 6 laps just managing the tires because my rear is basically gone by then. And yeah, it's good to get a win after my small mistake in qualifying.
How difficult were the conditions this afternoon, and how difficult was to keep Michael behind?
I think I create a bit of gap at the start, and after that I sort of managing. But no, it's really difficult on tire managing, but I think I'm managing quite well. So yeah, it's good to get a win here.
Well done, and we hope to see you soon back.
Thank you.
Bye.
Well done, Gerard Z. Let's take you through the highlights. Under the safety car, we got started here in this Euroformula Open Championship race. Gerard Z starting on pole position, made his way through the first corner at La Source and kept hold of it pretty much from start to finish. It was all about race management right through the course of this one. We saw a couple of spins. Jakob Bergmeister the first to go, heading through the Podium section. Brad Benavides, though, very much looking to hunt down the front runners. Ravesh would spin right in front of him too, heading out of the Jackie X corner. Fernando Barrichello also took a trip off track, coming through the gravel trap and into the grass as well. Had to try and recover after that one, but would eventually catch up with the likes of Levente Ravesh, as well as Jakob Bergmeister, who would get past him, heading up through Eau Rouge and Radion. But coming up then across the line, it would be a sensational victory for Gerard Z, his very first in the Euroformula Open Championship.
Pozdrowienia dla cioci Beaty. Pozdrowienia dla cioci Beaty. Obiecałem Zosi.
I'm not going to translate it. I don't know what it's mean. To be honest, not sure what it means.
I don't know if we should have aired it. I've no idea.
Fabulous. As we now take a look at the behind-the-scenes view with the drivers now having a chinwag. Brad Benavides with a big smile on his face for good reason as well. 2 wins out of the 3 races this weekend, and all 3 featuring on the podium. Definitely looks like a sharp contender, and I think the championship pretty much in his hands right now, Ewan.
I mean, we're not yet halfway through. We're 3 rounds through an 8-round championship, and a 60-point lead is the equivalent of 2.5 wins and him not getting in the points at all. You really can't see a race where he's not going to be in the points unless he's finishing. So it's a massive, massive advantage. 5 rounds to go as we head towards the Hungaroring on the 22nd, 23rd of June. First up, though, champagne and celebrations.
Yeah, absolutely right. The presentation will unfold on the podium. First and foremost, though, national anthems. So Gerard Z will be no doubt elated at achieving a sensational victory here this time around, and looking ahead obviously to the rest of the season, you know, getting off certainly to the grandest start possible. Brad Benavides, a P3 trophy going his way after laying claim to 2 of the top prizes this weekend. Surely the championship very much set in his sights, but there's still a good portion of the series left to go. Credit as well to Michael Shin, finishing in 2nd place. And last but certainly not least, it's Gerard Z, who claims the winner's trophy in less than ideal circumstances. I mean, I've been impressed with Michael Shin as well since he's joined the championship too. I mean, he was decent at Hockenheim, Ewan. You saw him in action, and once again here at Spa.
I mean, his defensive skills are right up there. His win at Hockenheim, he led from the off, and he was challenged a lot harder, I'll say, than Gerard Z was this afternoon. But even when he was having Brad Benavides chasing him, if there's one person on this grid you do not want chasing you, it's Brad Benavides, but he didn't let him get close.
No, not at all. Fernando Barrichello accepting the Rookies Trophy as well. They all stand tall on the podium. Motor Park accepting the trophy too for winning team. And very shortly they will have the champagne. They won't have any qualms in terms of getting soaked here. But folks, that's all from us here at the Euroformula Open. We'll see you next time when we go racing. Thank you.